welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. We are just about to get started with the first discussion, but feel free to let us know where you're watching us from and how the roads are looking on your end before we check in with Doreen Narange, who will be letting us know which road she will be going to in not too long. The hashtag you can interact with us using is hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Television is our official station handle. At Jane Wambo is how you can find me. At Raymanyara and at Ramaguko is how you can find my colleagues as well across all social media platforms. So right now we want to get started with the first discussion, which is all about the National Employment Authority Act. What is it all about? Well, this discussion is just here to help you understand what it entails and how it's going to help you and I as a Kenyan just be able to progress in terms of, when it comes to seeking jobs, how you can go about that and to facilitate you to be in a better position to get that job. And to help me with this discussion, we have Winnie Peritet with us in studio. She is the chairperson of the National Employment Authority. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
We're glad you made time to be with us.
Thank you.
All right, maybe you could give us social handles for the Employment Authority so that our viewers, if they have any questions later, maybe they can be able to send them directly to you guys.
Okay, yeah, you can reach us on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Just go to NAIR, you'll find us there. Same thing with Twitter. If you just check on NAIR, hashtag NAIR, you'll find us there as well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and that is NEA. Those are the
NEA.
initials for the National Employment Authority. So any questions, shoot them there, tag us as well. The hashtag once again is hashtag Good Morning Kenya at Jane Wambo and at KBC Television. So we just want to help our viewers better understand what this, National Employment Authority Act is all about, because we all have different ideas of what it may be, but we want to get what it's really about. So maybe you could start by giving us a bit of background on, what necessitated the formation of this National Employment Authority.
Thank you very much, Jane. National Employment Authority, or NAIR, as is commonly abbreviated, yes, came out of an act that was formulated in 2016, April 2016. And the purpose of NAIR is essentially to deal with employment promotion, employment creation for Kenya. And we operate from a national policy perspective. Previously, NAIR operated as a National Employment Bureau. It was a department under the Ministry of Labor. And the reason why it was felt it was necessary to hive it off as a department into an authority to ensure we give it the right teeth and the right position in this country to deal with the issues around employment in this country. We do have a board, and the board comprises of representatives from various sectors. We have the youth representatives, so we have two representatives from the youth, and this is because, as we know, that 65% of our population is the youth. And when you start talking about employment matters, then it is the youth.
The youth
we are
come
really,
to mind first.
Exactly. And then we also have employers represented, and from here we have FKE, and so they represent the employers. We also have TVET institutions. If we're talking about education institutions playing their role in ensuring that employment in this nation goes in the right direction, then we need to bring in the education institutions. So we do have TVET. We also have the Commission of University Education, and their role is to ensure that whatever skills that are being trained in the education institutions will actually lead to effective employment. The other area that is represented is foreign affairs. We do deal with people going out for jobs, or Kenyans going out for jobs, and therefore it's important that foreign affairs gets in to play their role in ensuring that whichever nations we deal with, then we have the necessary relationships.
And by dealing with these nations, will there be that national involvement with these nations, so that can have the data of all the Kenyans that are living here, going there to work, and so that you can know where they're going? What is the situation there?
Okay, foreign affairs. What we do, we ensure as a nation that we sign up bilateral agreements with other nations, and that therefore opens doors for us to send Kenyans out. Right now, we've mainly been dealing with the Middle East, and this is because that's where we've had problems in the past, and more so where we've had our unskilled or semi-skilled labor going. So we've signed up bilateral agreements with the UAE, with Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. We're in the process of signing up other bilateral agreements. So foreign affairs, therefore, comes in handy to ensure that we have the relationships and that the relationships are going pretty well.
And does this relationship with, foreign affairs also ensure the safety of Kenyans that are going out there? Because I'm sure you've had the stories before.
Certainly.
Kenyans go to the Middle East, and not just Kenyans, even other nationalities.
Yes.
They go there, some are mistreated, some even die, and some are even stranded there. And they end up now seeking for help through social media to find a way of coming back home. So how matters on how they're protected, how have they been put into consideration?
This is what we have done. Previously, you might remember a few years ago, the government of Kenya placed a ban on any workers going into the Middle East. And this is because of the reasons that you've cited.
Yeah.
And it was therefore important to look at what are some of the issues that our Kenyans are going through when they went into Middle East. At the time, we had about 1,000 employment agencies taking Kenyans out. And once the ban came up, the government put measures to ensure that whoever goes out is actually vetted. That number has dropped down to about 100. And these are agencies.
100 agencies?
Yes, 100 agencies. Who are vetted in every way to make sure that they are genuine to start with, they have the capacity to take these people out there, and that they have the capital to ensure that if a Kenyan gets stranded, they can actually bring them back home.
Yeah.
The other thing is just ensure what facilities do they have. Are they, just briefcase agencies out here who are actually just out to lure Kenyans?
Just to make a coin.
Exactly. So any Kenyan going to the Middle East, therefore, for semi-skilled jobs, they go through these agencies.
Okay.
And before they go, we have introduced a curriculum that ensures that any domestic workers going out are trained. So we call it home care curriculum.
Okay.
So they're trained on how to look after a home, how to look after the elderly, and also how to look after children. And from there, they also receive training on pre-departure. Before you go, what should you expect? What will you find out there? To ensure that the whole issue of culture shock is taken care of.
Is taken into consideration. Because
Exactly.
that's one of the biggest challenges that also our Kenyans face, because most of them, they are in middle to low class sort of employment that are going to there.
Exactly.
So culture shock might be a big issue.
Yes, and it does contribute to the problems that we have had our Kenyans facing.
Yeah.
Because here's a girl, for example, she's never used a Hoover equipment in the house. And when she gets there, she's faced with that. The employer, on the other hand, expects her to be knowing what job she's coming to do.
Yeah.
And therefore, conflict arises from there. And therefore, we need to take care of that.
Okay.
You asked about how is the government ensuring, or Foreign Affairs ensuring, that in the event of distress, they're taken care of. Any Kenyan going out there needs to register with the Kenyan Embassy.
Okay.
Our agents here as well, they are known by our embassies out there. Let me speak specifically about Saudi Arabia. We're in touch with the government on the other side through a system called the Musanet. And the Musanet connects the agencies here and the agencies in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And it therefore ensures that
It's the link.
There's a link,
Okay.
and it's a smooth system.
Yeah.
We are planning on setting up safe houses. In the event that things go wrong, when an employee is out there, then they can be housed in the safe houses within the embassies, our own embassies out there. Because currently we've not had a system where Kenyans are known where they are and what they're going through. In the event of distress, then we now need to have a structured way of housing them now prior to bringing them back home.
Okay, so also the responsibility falls on the Kenyans themselves to register so that you're not just taken out there and nobody knows where you're going. An agency might not be as legit as they say to be. So you have to register with the ones that are vetted and approved by the
National Employment Authority, as well as the other bodies in Kenya. So we work with immigration, we work with the other government bodies.
Yeah.
So for you to leave as an employee, we give you a certificate saying that you've gone through the home care training and also through the pre-departure training.
Okay.
And that you have a certificate also from the agent who's taking you out there.
All right.
So you cannot just walk out there and just claim that you have a job. Granted, Kenyans do it. I mean, we try to do these things all the time. But what we're saying for Kenyans, therefore, to get out there and you get into trouble and the government doesn't know where you are, it becomes difficult. Yeah, and hence the reason why we insist that people should actually go through the right channels.
All right. Yes. At least this will be able to just cut down on all these cases that we hear of. Oh, someone is stuck there, they're being mistreated, they have even been killed, their body has been dumped somewhere, and they're not able to get back home. So if you are looking to, you know, get employment outside the country, whatever it may, sort of employment it may be, you might want to go through this direction to just make sure that you are known when you're going out for that employment opportunity. Let it be formal so that in the event of anything, you never know, anything can happen. So in the event of anything, you can be found, you can be tracked down to where you are, to the house, and you will be able to be assisted by the government at the end of the day. All right, so let's just talk about, you know, how the situation was before the National Employment Authority was put into place, in terms of even providing, you know, that institutional framework for employment here in the country. How was the situation that actually pushed for the National Employment Authority to come into place?
Previously, when the Bureau existed, and it was set up in 1986, and this was essentially just to look at the various employment matters within the country. With our population growing, with changes happening within the country, it was found necessary, therefore, to give it more space and mandate, and therefore challenges to actually deal with the issues that are facing Kenya from an employment perspective. And I talked about employment creation. I talked about employment promotion as well. Now, the mandates that I've talked about foreign employment and labor migration. The other thing is that we are mandated to do is to provide a framework to facilitate increased employment of Kenyans in all the sectors. We talk about national government, county government, state organs, and national and county government entities, essentially linking into the other areas to ensure that we really know what's really happening in the various sectors from an employment perspective. We look at what skills are existing. What skills do we need as a nation? And we keep talking about, one of the things that we keep talking about is we have half-baked graduates coming out of school. That is an issue, and it is a big issue that we need to address as a nation. And why do I say this? The link between job seekers and industry or employment has not been very smooth. And you find employers saying that we need people with experience. You have a fresh graduate who's come out of school. And an employer also says that these people are half-baked. And we know that some sectors that have, they have insisted that these people are half-baked, therefore we're going to reskill them in order for them to be suitable for industry. One of the things then we are working on is saying, let us have the link between the institutions and industry as well. And to drive that, we have designed an national internship policy that is going through the various levels in terms of approval. Now, this internship policy is aimed at ensuring that students in any institution or people who just graduated can actually get the necessary skills. This will arm them when they go out there looking for jobs, and we will not have this conversation that we have half-baked people.
So this internship program is after they have graduated or while still in school?
It would be both, that up to 1 year after graduation, you can get internship.
So it's sort of an on-the-job training period, where you are actually thoroughly trained, you know, you get the skill part of the job before you get on the job.
Before you actually get employment. So we'll be requesting employers to take on these graduates to just give them the basic skills that they require. So by the end of the training, then they're actually ready to take up the jobs.
To continue with the jobs. Okay, now let's just look at some of the other mandates that, you know, this authority has been bestowed upon in terms of just ensuring that the job seeker actually is connected with the relevant areas in which they can get jobs. Now, in terms of how you're working with the national government, the county governments, and the private sector as well, how has that relationship been put into consideration for the job seeker?
Okay, let me start with the employers. The Employment Act mandates all employers to make returns for the people that they have within their organization by 31st of March every year. Now, the purpose of that is not just so that, it's not a tick box exercise, let me call it that. It is to ensure that as government we know what skills exist where. We can see where we have abundance of skills and where we have scarcity. Now, what does this translate into? Where we have abundance of skills, so we know institutions linking into that, we can say we can continue training on those skills. But we have scarcity of skills, and we can say this is the area of focus. Because it looks like as institutions, we're not producing enough people to work in this area. And therefore, there could be an issue of struggling. But also to ask ourselves, are we matching our skills to what is happening in industry? So that's one thing that we require employers, therefore, to do. And we might, right now, I would request employers, those who've not done it, to send us the returns. They can go to our website, download the forms, and actually make sure they do the returns.
Maybe you could give us the website?
The website is www.nair.go.ke. Yes, right. They would be able to get that information there. And we actually have given moratorium because they're supposed to have submitted this information by 31st of March. We're talking about 30th of June. There is a penalty for any employer who does not submit their returns by 31st of March, which is 100,000. And of course, no employer wants to be caught up in this area. You also asked about the public sector and county governments. We're working with the county governments, the boards, to ensure that we actually have similar conversations around this. The Public Service Commission also sits on our board, and therefore any links into the public service work is discussed at this particular point as well.
Okay.
Yes. So and then we also have employment offices in the regions where job seekers can actually go and register. Going forward, and we're at a very advanced stage. We've worked on a website that where one can actually go and register in terms of who you are, what your skills are, and then we will do job mapping. There could be an employer who's also looking for a job, and therefore we map. But once we're done with this, we will be going, we want to get to the point where we can actually have an app where in the comfort of your home or wherever, a job seeker can actually register to just make sure that they're actually on board. But related to that, which is part of the plans that we are having, we are requesting people with skills or job seekers with skills to actually register in this website. The ideal situation would be where, say I needed a plumber in my area. I don't need to go asking my neighbor who's your plumber and all that. I can go to this app and download and say plumber in my area, like we do with Uber. Plumber in my area, and I'll be able to get a plumber. But you need to be sure that this plumber is good. So the plumber needs to have been registered with NITA. NITA, the ones they make sure that they certify trade tests. So working with NITA, then we'll be able to certify our artisans, for example, and therefore you can go onto the app and you'll be able to get a plumber. And the purpose of this is to increase employment because the plumber gets a job and you get the service that you require.
So that is now at least how you're working, at least with the county governments, just be able to narrow it, to break it down in manageable numbers.
Yeah, absolutely, and to ensure that we're actually getting feedback. What are the skills that are lacking within a county? And can we get them skills from elsewhere? And what are the skills that are there in abundance? So when we have it on, say, online, and you have information online, we can actually get this data easily and know which areas are struggling from a skills perspective.
All right. Now let's have a quick look at, the functions of the National Employment Authority, given, the launch is going to be in a few, I think on the 10th?
On the 17th.
On the 17th?
Yes.
All right, so the official launch will be on the 17th, or the media brief is what will be on the 10th.
Yes.
So just to try and understand the functions, at least even for the public, to understand the basic functions of this authority.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of them is to advise on formulation of employment policies, as well as strategies for national and county governments. If we don't have a way in which we're able to manage our employment as a whole and from a big picture perspective, then we do have a challenge. So that is one of them. The other one would be to advise governments on any policy matters concerning employment as well. Our third one is to develop methodologies for employment measurement, management, and promotion. And on that, what I'd like to say is we working with other Labour Department, Ministry of Labour departments, is the ability to be able to forecast what skills we have here, we have now, what skills we have in the future, and what gaps we have, basing the same on what's happening in industry.
Oh, just to see where you need to add on to, where you need to pull out to replace with.
Exactly.
Okay, all
exactly. Right. And the other one would be to conduct periodic surveys on labor market skills requirements, what we really need to be working on, and monitor implementation of employment policies and programs, because we can put policies in place, but do we really know how that is happening? And again, to ensure that we're registering persons seeking employment. I talked about that. And to also maintain an up-to-date integrated database of job seekers and persons looking for employment. And also to facilitate employment and placement of job seekers, placing them in jobs, both the formal and the informal sector. So some of our key functions.
All right. And, as an authority, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that, the whole question of equality is maintained, even as, we are sending people outside the country to work, as we are spreading, the employment opportunities across the board, to just ensure that he and I are both considered without any form of discrimination when it comes to employment?
We actually do call it out as part of our mandate, that our special focus would be on the minority, the women, the youth, and people from marginalized areas. So it's something that we keep a focus on, even as we do our work. Yes, but we say everybody is entitled to an equal opportunity, but we do bear that in mind.
So as of now, you are putting into consideration mostly the youth, minorities, and marginalized groups.
Yes.
All right. Now, hasn't the question of brain drain been put into consideration, in as much as, we are looking to send them out there? Some could be very well educated. They just haven't had the opportunity to, get the job that they're looking for. Has that been put into consideration?
Brain drain is a very unfortunate issue, and I can look at it in two ways. It will happen because we are not creating the employment opportunities locally. Also, job seekers don't know where to find these jobs. And the third one would be we have abundance of skills. And if we do have abundance of skills, then there's no really reason for us not to let Kenyans go and work out there if we have abundant skills. Not when we have other issues that are related to employment, and we're not really taking care of our employees. So in the event that we're saying we have abundance of skills, by all means, then we need to let them go out there. Why? Because it improves the lives of Kenyans when they are out there. But all these considerations need to be made. We need to ensure that whoever we are sending out is really net talent that cannot find jobs in Kenya. But we need to ensure, looking at what we call the ecosystem, we have what we call the Kenyan ecosystem in as far as employment is concerned, the training institutions, the industry, and government. And the three need to work together to actually ensure that in the event we are saying brain drain, it's not going to be brain drain, it's actually net skills that we're actually sending out there.
Just allowing them to find some sort of employment.
Yes.
Now, we've talked about, violations, outside the country. What about within the country? Employer violations. What is being done towards that? And even to ensure that these groups, the young unemployed, the youth, the minorities, and these vulnerable groups, their rights are not violated as they're sent out to work for other employers within the country.
Okay. I talked about the lot that we actually training, and these are the home care people, and this is just by arming them with the right skills for them to go and work. We also talk about their rights, but also their responsibilities, because one cannot go and work or fail to work as expected and fail to face the consequences as well. So it is ensuring that we actually train people on what their rights are as employees in the workplace.
So they are equipped to be able to work properly.
Yes.
But now in the event that the employer, there are people who are just mean naturally. They are out to take advantage of somebody who they might consider is of a lower economic status than them.
Yes.
Do you have like a relationship with the local authorities to be able to handle such cases where they feel free to go and report even to the nearest police station? This has happened to me. Can I get some form of assistance?
And
yes. Or do they go back to the agencies as well?
No, locally, most of the agencies that we're dealing with send people outside the country. But in the event there is one who is placing people locally, that one has several ways in which they can resolve their issues. We do have one of our departments in the Ministry of Labor. This is the labor officers who deal with such matters, that I can go if I am distressed by my employer. I can actually go to the labor office and report that I've been mistreated, there's this violation. But if it becomes a crime situation, I've been beaten up and all, that's when I go to the police station. And I should actually go and report, because Kenyans do have rights, and they have the right to gainful employment and being paid for it as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, when it comes to the whole issue of public participation, you know, that is the one thing that really lacks when it comes to, you know, these policies that are put in place that are actually involve the greater population. Absolutely. In terms of public participation, what has been done towards that end to ensure that, you know, whatever you are putting together is actually in touch with the people?
Yeah. Anything that we have rolled out so far, we have the internship policy. We have subjected that to public participation. The home care training as well, we subjected the same to public participation. There's one area, and it's something we're really looking forward to doing, because it speaks about the bigger picture in terms of employment in this country. And this is around the National Employment Policy and Strategy, that tells us where are we going as a nation in as far as employment is concerned. And this will help us to create ownership of employment strategies, mainstreaming employment creation, and guide the mobilization of resources for implementation of the National Employment Policy and Strategies for Kenya. In the next quarter, around maybe the next few months, we do intend to have a conference where we can talk about this. Let's talk about employment in this country. Where is it heading? And who are the players in the employment sector? Can they come in and tell us about what are the expectations? So we can design this strategy and policy together. So we do subject it to public participation. Yeah.
Now, in terms of even oversight of the National Employment Authority, who is going to ensure that the authority remains transparent and accountable as, you know, go about this day-to-day responsibility of trying to connect the job seekers with the employment opportunities that are there, and ensure that you consider everyone. There's no biased sort of behavior going on within the authority in itself.
Okay. We do have various government bodies also that look into how these things happen. We have the National Cohesion Authority as well. That should really be looking into what is done. We have other bodies like the auditors as well, to ensure that actually our governance is actually in place. We report to the Ministry of Labor, and that in itself keeps us in checks. We have other partners that we work with, and whatever support that they give us, the expectation is whatever support they give us is going to be done within the expected governance frameworks as well.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I just want to have a quick look at social media and see what, you know, the feedback that we have received so far. The hashtag we are using is hashtag Good Morning Kenya. If you have any questions in regards to this discussion all about the National Employment Authority Act, and, you know, if you don't understand it better, send those questions through. And I'm just seeing Nelly Winnie, who's saying, you know, can my internship be classified as work experience when looking for a job, and how much will I require to pay for the internship?
She will not be required to pay.
So there won't be any fees for that year that you will be interning?
No, she's asking whether she'll be required to pay.
Yeah.
She won't pay.
Okay.
We are requesting employers to actually take on these young graduates to give them the experience. When you, and I know I'm now coming to employability of individuals.
Yeah.
When you go in looking for a job, it is always important. Whatever internship experience, whatever experience one has had, you need to put that in as part of experience, because it does count for experience.
All right, so I hope you've been answered. It still counts as part of your work experience. Absolutely. That period you are interning. Rachel asks, you know, how do you decide on where the employees are placed given the past cases of mistreatment?
Where do you decide on where the employees
Where the employees are placed. How do you go about deciding where the employees are placed, given the past cases of mistreatment? Yeah, I guess it's in regard, with the employees who are sent outside. Yeah.
Like I did say that we use vetted agencies only. And on the other end, we have agencies that we work with that are vetted by the other governments. So it's on the basis of that we can only allow people to be placed, or Kenyans to be placed in jobs. The foreign government vets their people, and this vetting is very detailed, even looking at their past experience of the agent to make sure that such cases have not happened. It's only when all the areas have been checked that would allow placement.
All right. Yes. Calvin is asking, how sure am I that if I register, I will get a job?
Well, National Employment Authority can't guarantee you a job, but what we're saying is we're providing you a platform where an additional platform where you can actually get access to job. But we're not going to guarantee that. Definitely when you come on board, we have a job for you. We do not have a job. We actually match you to employers.
You just provide the opportunity. You don't guarantee that, register, you'll get a job in 2 months' time.
No, we do not guarantee that.
All right. Yes. Martin Linjero is asking, on a scale of 1 to 10, how can you guarantee that this project will help the unemployed youth? With the formation of this National Employment Authority, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate it in terms of helping the youth secure jobs?
Once all parties come to the table, and all parties here are the job seekers, the training institutions, industry as well as government, really we should be looking at a 7 out of 10. Yes.
A 7 out of 10.
Yes.
All right. Let me see.
But let me say this. This is a gradual process. We cannot get jobs
overnight.
No, it won't happen overnight. No, it's a gradual process. It takes time. But if we are all doing the right things, as all the parties involved, then we should be able to get there.
All right. Kambura is asking, now, in the event that, the employer is asking for 5 years of experience, and yet you have just gotten a year of experience, and yet the job is scarce in itself. The job you are looking to go into is not as available, yet the employer is looking for 5 years of experience, and you have only 1 year of experience. What would you advise in such a case?
I think that there's a bit of a contradiction there. That there's a job not available. I have 1 year experience.
It is available, but not as much.
I see. I get that.
In a limited sort of, it is in a limited sort of area, sort of employment.
As a job seeker, I would chance to get that job, and I'll tell you why. Unless you prove to your would-be employer that you're employable, they will know. So I will not hesitate. I will actually apply for a job and have a conversation with this employer. Yes, you're looking for 5 years experience. You do not have people in this particular area. Take a chance on me. And let's walk. Let's walk the rest of the journey together. Because this employer needs to step down and say, can I train this person? Because by bringing them on board, it means I still have time, and together we can work at it. And you just might be surprised that this person can actually deliver.
Turns out to be, they say risk it until you get the biscuit.
Exactly.
Yes, and just one last one. Calvin again is asking, what is the difference between the National Employment Authority and the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA? Just a bit of clarification on that end for the benefit of the viewer.
NITA is mandated to actually train and regulate training, and at the same time also certify artisans. Those are their 3 areas. So any industrial training, that's what they do. National Employment Authority, on the other hand, we deal with actual employment matters, nothing to do with training, except where I talked about the home care training, where we've actually worked with NITA and other agencies to create the curriculum. So a National Employment Authority does not train at all.
It just facilitates
policies,
the opportunities that could be there for employment.
Absolutely.
All right, so now as we just wind the conversation in terms of even what to expect from the launch and even after that.
Okay. We've been operating behind scenes for the last 2 years, and it's now that we are coming out to say, this is what we've worked on, and this is what we'll continue to work on. what you can expect after the launch is once we launch this website that you can register on, then we'll be able to get more information. It's a gradual process, like I said, but what we're promising Kenyans is the opportunity to work with them in terms of developing policies and strategies that will create employment in this country. For us to be effectively do it, we require the various parties, the industry, the other government institutions, training institutions, as well as other government agencies to come on board.
Okay. Yes. And just one final tweet from Marie, who's asking, in terms of payment, is there a standardized system in place just to avoid underpayment, especially for this minority group?
In terms of payment, it's all based on the organizations and institutions.
All right.
And National Employment Authority doesn't, that's not part of our mandate. Our mandate is to help you get a job.
That is as far as your mandate goes.
Yes.
From there on is now between you
employer
and the
job seeker.
All right. So there you have it. I believe you have been answered. In terms of pay, that is now between you who has been employed and your employer. And you can ask around, get information, about the kind of job that you're going into. What sort of amounts should you be expecting? At least a range that you can avoid underpayment. I mean,
absolutely.
These are things you can be able to help.
Important. It's important to do your homework.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that this field, how much goes into that, well, what are the ranges, so that you don't get underpaid while at it. Well, thank you so much for your views and your questions. We appreciate them. We are just want to wind up here. Let me see if there's any other tweet. Maybe you could remind us your social handles once more, so that maybe they can be able to send them through direct to you post the interview, can be able to address some of these questions.
Okay, we're on Twitter, hashtag NEA. You'll be able to find us on that, and the same thing with Facebook.
All right, there you have it.
NEA is a critical.
NEA, that is, you can find them. The National Employment Authority Act, they're going to be officially launched on the 17th of May, all about, just helping you, the job seeker, connecting you with the available opportunities both locally and internationally to just help you, help the situation of unemployment, especially the youth. There's so much unemployment that has targeted the youth. So this will go a long way in just helping cut down on that and just be able to help you be better placed economically to take care of yourself. So maybe what will be your parting shots to the public and, in terms of even registering for this to be in the database, just be able to be found in the event that there's an opportunity somewhere?
Okay, two things. If you're in an area where there is a National Employment Authority office and you're seeking for a job, we request you to go and register. We also request employers to also go and register because that way it helps us to match the two. Likewise, also be on the lookout for our website when we do launch it, and our app when we do launch it, because then that way it helps us also to get access to job seekers. And anybody who seeks to go out as a domestic worker or semi-skilled employee, please make sure that you actually look for the registered agent. In the event that you do not know one, we do have actually a website that has migration for migration workers that you can also call on any employment office that we have. Go to our website, nationalemploymentauthority.go.ke, and you'll be able to get more information about us.
All right.
Register, and we're here for you.
All right. There's one Wandura who's asking, with these foreign opportunities, will the school dropouts be considered because they might have the technical skills? Will they be considered? I believe that has been answered in the fact that they offer you training. It doesn't matter how, your educational background, it's supposed to take care of the youth, the minorities, and, the minority groups that are not as, do not have all these employment opportunities as possible. So with this training, you are considered, you are prepared for these employment opportunities.
Absolutely.
That's right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you are a school dropout, you can go ahead and register, and maybe, just maybe, this is how you might find a job for yourself. Well, thank you so much. We have been speaking with Winnie Pertet. She is the chairperson of the National Employment Authority. Remember, the official launch will be happening sometime in the next week, the 17th of May, to just, help you know what this National Employment Authority is all about. about. Just as she said, they have been working in the behind the scenes, but now they're just coming out to let you know that we are here to help you, get the opportunities that are there for employment. Thank you so much, Winnie.
Thank you very much.
We do hope that, that this goes a long way in just trying to bring down these levels of unemployment that we are seeing in the country.
It is our hope and our expectation.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, we want to take a quick break, but we have the next interview coming up in not too long, and that is all about encouragement. Just today, we're looking to encourage you. You should not give up on your dream. You should not give up on life. And that discussion is coming up in not too long. But first, a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Good Morning Kenya.